Once upon a time, in the heart of enchanting Seville in Andalusia, where gardens were lush and rivers flowed, and where Islamic civilization in Andalusia was at its peak in science, literature, and art. In the mid-11th century AD, a boy was born, named Muhammad ibn Abbad, who later became known as Al-Mu'tamid, Allah, he who relies on God. Al-Mu'tamid grew up in a royal family. His father Al-Mu'tamid ibn Abbad was the king of Seville, which provided him with a fertile environment for the growth of his passion for literature and poetry, and for learning the secrets of governance. From an early age, from his childhood, Al-Mu'tamid was not like his peers. While other children played in the opulent palaces of Seville, he spent long hours learning the arts of poetry, the Arabic language, and literature, in addition to horsemanship and combat skills. His keen eyes caught the finest details in poems, and his young mind sought to understand the secrets of beauty in words and strength in the sword. He possessed sharp intelligence, eloquent speech, rare courage, generosity, and a profound love for life, which made him beloved by all and heralded a great future. Al-Mu'tamid believed that glory was incomplete without knowledge and literature, and that a true leader was one who combined the might of the sword with the beauty of the word, and justice with mercy. Therefore, he decided that his life would be a journey in the arts of governance, combining military leadership with wise administration, and patronizing science, scholars, and poets. In the prime of his youth, the pivotal moment in Al-Mu'tamid's life arrived. During the reign of his father, Al-Mu'tamid, Al-Mu'tamid emerged as a competent military and administrative leader. He led many military campaigns against neighboring Taifa kingdoms, achieving brilliant victories, which earned him widespread fame and great respect. In one of these campaigns, he conquered the city of Córdoba, which was one of the most important cities in Andalusia. These victories demonstrated his supreme military capability. Despite his passion for poetry, however, fate had a greater mission in store for Al-Mu'tamid. After the death of his father in 461 1969, Al-Mu'tamid ibn Abbad assumed the rule of Seville and was titled Al-Mu'tamid Allah. This moment was a crucial turning point in the history of Seville and Andalusia, as his reign marked a period known as the Golden Age of Seville, and his court became a magnet for poets and scholars from all corners. Personal qualities of Ibn Abbad: exceptional poetic talent. He was a brilliant poet, skilled in composing poetry in various genres, and his poems are considered among the most exquisite ever written in Andalusian literature. He loved poetry and poets and generously honored them. Generosity and munificence. He was legendary for his generosity, spending lavishly on scholars, poets, and the poor. Justice and fairness. He sought to apply justice among people and personally listened to the grievances of the oppressed. Courage and daring. He was a brave military leader, participating in battles himself and not fearing death. Love of life and luxury. He was known for his love of opulent living, magnificent palaces, lush gardens, and literary gatherings. Loyalty. He was loyal to his friends and loyalists, even in the most difficult circumstances. His military and political thought. Al-Mu'tamid ibn Abbad possessed strategic military and political thought. He understood the importance of military power in preserving the prestige of his state and expanding its influence. At the same time, he realized that governance was not limited to military control but also included wise administration, economic development, and the patronage of science and culture. He believed that a strong state was one that combined military might with economic prosperity and scientific and literary advancement. Key milestones in his life and reign. A golden age for Seville. His reign witnessed unprecedented flourishing in literature, poetry, and art. His court was a center of cultural radiance, where prominent poets like Ibn Zaydan and Ibn Amr, scholars, and musicians gathered. Conflict with the Taifa kings. Al-Mu'tamid continued his conflicts with neighboring Taifa kings to unite Andalusia, achieving significant successes in incorporating some regions into his state, increasing Christian threat. The Christian kingdoms in the north, especially the Kingdom of Castile led by Alfonso VI, posed an increasing threat to Andalusia. Alfonso began imposing tribute on the Taifa kings and threatening to annex their cities. The difficult choice, seeking aid from the Almoravids. Faced with this existential threat, Al-Mu'tamid found himself facing a difficult choice: either surrender Andalusia to the Christians or seek aid from the Almoravids from North Africa. His famous saying, "2 herd camels in the desert is better for me than 2 herd pigs in Seville," shows the extent of his aversion to Christian rule and his preference for the rule of his Muslim brethren. even if they were Bedouins. Battle of Zallaqa. 479 after he sought help from the Yusuf ibn Tasfin, crossed the strait into Andalusia and met with the armies of the Taifa kings led by Al-Mu'tamid. In this decisive battle against Alfonso VI, Al-Mu'tamid displayed unparalleled courage and bravery. He fought in the front lines and played a major role in achieving the crushing victory for the Muslims. This victory temporarily saved Andalusia from falling into Christian hands. Clash with the Almoravids. After Zallaqa, Yusuf ibn Tashfin returned to the Maghreb, but he returned again to Andalusia, realizing the weakness and disunity of the Taifa kings, and that they could not be relied upon to protect Andalusia, so he decided to unite Andalusia under Almoravid rule. Al-Mu'tamid strongly resisted this unification, as he saw it as the end of his glory and independence. Fall of Seville and exile. The Almoravids besieged Seville, and after a valiant resistance by Al-Mu'tamid and its people, the city fell in for 1091. Al-Mu'tamid ibn Abbad was captured and sent into exile in Agmat, Morocco, with his family. The human side and the bitterness of exile. In exile, Al-Mu'tamid ibn Abbad lived through harsh days. He lost everything: his kingdom, his palaces, his freedom, and even his children, some of whom were killed in the resistance. He was imprisoned in a remote fortress and suffered from poverty, hunger, and cold. His wife and children suffered with him. It is even said that his daughters spun wool to earn their daily bread. In these harsh circumstances, the deep human side of Al-Mu'tamid's personality emerged. His pains transformed into moving poems, expressing his longing for Seville, the bitterness of exile, and the loss of glory. His poems in exile are considered among the most beautiful ever written in Andalusian poetry, and they show the strength of his spirit despite the weakness of his body. He would address Seville in his poetry, lament his lost glory, and express his yearning for his old days of splendor. Among his famous sayings, in addition to his famous poems in exile, "To herd camels in the desert is better for me than to herd pigs in Seville," his famous saying before seeking aid from the Almoravids, "By God, I only killed to live, and I only lived to die." This shows his philosophy of life and death. "O time, why have you grieved me with my loved ones?" The opening line of one of his poems in exile, "Where are the cavalry and knights from me?" This shows his longing for the days of glory. Al-Mu'tamid ibn Abbad lived in exile for about 4 years. He died in Agmat in 488 AD and was buried there. The poet king of Seville departed in body, but his story remained alive, inspiring generations and reminding them that glory is fleeting and power can be lost, but the human spirit, determination, and creativity can remain immortal. The story of Al-Mu'tamid ibn Abbad teaches us that life is full of vicissitudes and that glory may not last. It reminds us that true strength lies in the human spirit, in its ability to create even in the most difficult circumstances, and in its steadfastness to its principles. Al-Mu'tamid ibn Abbad was a model of the poet king who combined the might of the sword with the beauty of the word, and left an indelible mark on the history of human civilization. Let generations be inspired by the story of this great king, and let them follow his courage and creativity, and let them know that true glory is the positive impact a person leaves in the hearts and minds of people, and that poetry is the light that illuminates the paths of darkness and reveals the secrets of the human soul.